Let's prepare for our time of meditation by drawing in a deep cleansing breath. Exhaling slowly and shifting your focus from the outer to spirit within.
Sorry.
As we rest in this quiet moment, we feel our connectedness with the one presence and power, God the Good. We allow a deep sense of well-being to fill our minds and hearts. Now let these words be your words as we move into our meditation, peacefully centered in a calm, tranquil state. Peace infuses every aspect of my mind and every cell of my body. Breathing slowly and rhythmically, I inhale the essence of the divine. And as I exhale, I release any limiting thoughts, feelings, or discomfort. Spirit gently embraces me. Centered in my heart space, I am one with divine mind. I affirm that the wisdom of Spirit is my wisdom, and my every thought, word, and action is divinely inspired. The divine intelligence within me guides me to my highest good. Whether experiencing joy or sadness, celebration or challenge, my inner guidance lights the way. I am open and receptive to whatever I need to know in the silence. Wholeness is my true state. And this truth blesses me from the top of my head to the tip of my toes. The light of my true being fills me with the sparkling essence of Spirit and blesses me with vitality and strength. All parts of my body work together in perfect harmony. I relax in the restorative power of Spirit. I am one with an abundant universe, and I give generously and receive gratefully. Despite any outward appearances to the contrary or any temporary thought of lack or limitation, I know that abundance is my natural state of being, my birthright, and I open to the divine flow of blessings. I give thanks that my heart's desires are fulfilled. I am one with the hearts and minds of others. I send out vibrations of peace and love to transform the world around me. Now as we draw in a deep cleansing breath once again and exhale slowly, we give thanks for this time of communion with Spirit, our true essence. We slowly bring our attention back to this room, feeling refreshed and renewed. And so it is.
inner feelings that you have. Listen for the whisper and follow the inner guidance you receive. Listen for the whisper. For your dreams to come true, wish them with all your heart. And if they're meant to be, know that they soon will start, if you just let them go. And trust the inner feelings that you have. Listen for the whisper and follow the inner guidance you receive. Listen for the whisper. And when you seek love, you've only to look within, for it is always there, as it has always been, if you just let it flow. And trust the inner feelings that you have. Listen for the whisper and follow the inner guidance you receive. Trust your inner feelings. Follow your inner guidance. Listen for the whisper.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
You might be thinking, oh, good morning indeed. It's rainy and cold outside. But you know what? My talk today is on intentional creation. And so I think we should agree that we're going to intend to have a wonderful day with many surprises and lots of fun. Is that a deal?
Yeah.
A few months ago, someone said to me, Peggy, you are just so you. So I didn't know whether that was bad or good, but she was smiling and she hugged me, so I guess it was good. I had just finished telling this small group that we were with about a few salient points from a series of books that I was reading, which were channeled from a high being. And that right there is beyond the norm for most people. Maybe you don't think so, but I was stressing that we really, really, really need to send light to the earth. and to help her heal along with the rest of us, because we depend on her. And that's not so unusual for this community. When we pray on Sundays for the requests in our prayer box, we always send light to our community, our country, and our world. Well, I wrote that, but anyway, I haven't heard anyone object. So that's only Sundays though, guys. We need to do that every day. We need to visualize our planet in beautiful white healing light and just spread it throughout, and visualize the planet from like the astronauts saw it, perhaps from outer space, and just surround it with white light. And our intentions are so powerful. And the more people who intend the same thing, the more powerful they are. So I just urge you to do that, to send light to the earth. And as I go through my questions today that I have for you, you can refer to those little pieces of paper that were passed out with the bulletin, and just follow along. That was Judy McGinnis's idea. Thank you, Judy. And so the first question are you intentionally creating your life? If you want to do that as opposed to just drifting through and with no particular purpose or intention, you can start by just setting an overarching intention, something that I call my purpose. And then you can create core intentions for each area of your life, such as relationships, work, play, body, mind, and spirit. And it helps to guide, your overall intention helps guide those core intentions. So here's an example of an overall intention from a book that I highly recommend by Bonnie Lonsberry. And it's titled The Map to Our Responsive Universe, where dreams really do come true. I intend to live the life I was born to live, and as fully and as elegantly as possible discover my genius, live a life I love, and consciously create my reality with fun, joy, and laughter. So have you written a life purpose or overall intention? Back in the 80s, after I discovered New Thought, the foundation for unity, I began studying many spiritual teachers, and I was in a group where each of us were to write our purpose. Keep in mind, this was in the 80s, and what I wrote those many years ago still holds, and I can see how it's guided my life. I wrote that my purpose is to ever more fully express the love, joy, peace, and creativity within me, and to support others in doing the same in harmony and trust. So I think it was to that end that I eventually became an ordained minister and prayer chaplain. But as you may notice, it was never my intention to have my own church, so I don't. But I do teach classes, and I've conducted a number of weddings and memorials, and I always, of course, emphasize peace and love. And I use affirmative prayer as a prayer chaplain to help people create good in their lives and in my own life. So one of my intentions is based on a quote from the spiritual teacher Joel Goldsmith. I don't know if you've read any of his work, but he's amazing. He wrote, "As you walk up and down the world with a sense of peace in your consciousness, and that sense of peace comes to you only in proportion to your realization that God is and error is not, as you achieve that sense of peace, you have the Christ consciousness." Well, considering the chaos in the world today, that's a tall order. That's hard to do. I mean, I can read the newspaper and get tears in my eyes at some of the articles in there. So I really have to remember what's real and what's not. As both a friend and a prayer chaplain, I'm constantly confronted with difficulties and sad situations. So one of my intentions is to develop a Christ consciousness. It may take a few millennia, but I'll get there. But if you don't set that intention, you know, it's just gonna not happen. So I want to remain peaceful and to know the underlying truth behind the appearance. And that's the essence of God, that God is real with a capital R. And that essence is peace and love and wisdom and wholeness and perfection. And that's what we emphasize in a affirmative prayer. We know that, and the more that we can really know that, the more it manifests outside of us and in our own lives. So have you written a spiritual intention? That's my next question. Well, consider doing that. In Unity, we believe that our minds are creative, just as the one mind of God is creative, that mysterious force back of all things. And we impress our thoughts upon that one mind, and depending on the clarity and the intensity of our thoughts and our emotions, because they are caused by our thoughts and our beliefs, we manifest those thoughts in our reality. And that's simply the way it works, so we might as well create intentionally instead of unintentionally. A New Thought minister and teacher I had the privilege of knowing before he passed on avowed that the best way to help solve the problems of the world is not to be one of them. Always loved that. And it's good advice, and it's a good place to start. So if we live our lives intentionally, we're more likely to be a solution than a problem. And perhaps going beyond that, we could actually leave a positive legacy for the world. I have a friend and editing client, Jim, who's one of the most intentional people I know. I suspect that as a baby in his crib, he was working on how to improve himself and make the world a better place. So with a career in the Air Force and a doctorate in public policy and a second career in that same field, he's now, quote, retired and on staff at a new college. And his focus is on creating public programs to help our communities. He's currently writing a book on crisis intervention teams, and they're going to bring that to Minnesota, so it's very cool. It's part of a series on public programs to help at-risk youth and adults. And one of the main intentions of this crisis intervention team program is to train police officers so they can better de-escalate situations with mentally ill people and refer them to mental health practitioners rather than just sending them to jail. Or as Jim says, cuff them and stuff them. We don't want to do that. We want to use compassion and help the police officers understand where these people are coming from and help them get the treatment that they need. And he's also helping to develop leadership training based on the principles of helping others and building character and living ethically and continually developing oneself as a leader. And his laser-like intention in his work, his overall, I would think, purpose, he's voiced this to me, is to help others hopefully save lives and leave a lasting legacy for the next generation. He also has intentions for his own self-improvement in body, mind, and spirit. And he's a baby boomer, and he decided to take up backpacking. So wow, he backpacked across England and other places too. I mean, he really had to develop body, mind, and spirit in order to be able to do this. And he wrote a book called The Honest Backpacker for adventurers over 50 who wanted to go into backpacking and strengthen their body, mind, and spirit. You know, what did they have to do to do that? I told him that he makes me feel like a slug. You know, he's really amazing. The interesting thing is that I think that my own intention in my editing business drew him to me, because I call my business Heart and Soul Editing, and I want to help people get their work out into the world who are writing books that educate and inspire. Now, he was referred to me, and he didn't know that was my intention, but the responsive universe knew, and so I think that I have been drawing clients to me who fit my intention, and that's the way that the universe works. If you don't have an intention, then the universe doesn't know what to send you. So that's a good point to remember. And I got a bonus with Jim. He has a most delightful sense of humor, which fits in with my own intention to live with joy and have fun. So I am grateful for that. I'm grateful for the universe for helping me out and supporting my intentions. And here's another example of an intention from Bonnie's book, The Map to Our Responsive Universe. And this one covers the waterfront. So if you want to borrow some of these, you can. She says, I intend to experience more and more miracles and greater levels of fun, creativity, connectedness with the divine, peace, prosperity, security, health, vitality, and ease in my body, mind, and life. I intend to experience greater and greater levels of divine grace and divine guidance and revel in freedom, beauty, trust, wisdom, joy, and love. I intend to be clear, conscious, and awake regarding my life direction. Ooh, doesn't that give you the good kind of goosebumps? But it's a good idea when you write your intentions to write some, doesn't have to be that involved, but write something that excites you, that really inspires you. So here's one of mine that I wrote for my health. I intend to enjoy excellent functioning of every cell and organ and system of my body, asking, allowing anything that doesn't serve my health and happiness to dissipate as a mist before the sun. I am guided to be drawn to do whatever is necessary to support this intention with clarity, ease, and gratitude. And I added that last sentence because it really doesn't do any good to set an intention if you're not going to follow up on the support the universe gives you or do anything about it. So like if you have a health intention but still do things you know you're not supposed to do, or don't do things you know you're supposed to do, so to have a strong, healthy body, then you know, the universe goes, well, you must not be real serious about this. So I remembered the saying, the road to hell is lined with good intentions, and I thought, well, I looked that one up, and it really means that you need to take action and not just set your intention. And I don't think it's necessarily the road to hell, but it might be the road to nowhere. So keep that in mind too. So do you have a fitness intention, and are you acting on it? We don't all have to be superstars like Jim. I asked some friends of mine to be research subjects and tell me what intentions they have had in their lives that have manifested for them. So Michael lost a job, and because he likes dogs, his intention, he also wanted to be his own boss. He decided to start his own company making premium natural dog chews and treats. So Great Dog Company has been in operation since 1991. Nikki said she intended to raise her children to be functional, independent individuals who could make good decisions. And she's happy with her results, which to me that's a good legacy to leave. You know, children who are functional and independent. Pat has decided to go back to school and get a degree at age 71. So she's having to be very intentional about this and jump through all the hoops necessary to do that. And she's doing it so far, but she'll need to keep her intention to follow through on that. And Sarah defeated cancer, standing her ground by telling herself, not me. Well, I don't want to simplify such healing, but honestly, if you don't have a strong intention to heal whatever it is, then it's likely not to happen. Because you need to do what's necessary to make that happen. And then there was my friend Barbara, being told what she'd have to go through to heal her cancer, and that there was no guarantee it would work, and that she'd have to wear a colostomy bag. She decided to check out instead. So she died peacefully in the hospital before they even had a chance to operate. And she was always a very strong-willed person, and she didn't intend to suffer any longer, and she intended to move on, and she did. As for me, when I think about my life, I just pulled a few examples into my mind. I'm rather amazed now at some of the things that I managed to do when I was younger, just by intending it and following through. One of the things, after a divorce years ago, I was a single mom, and my son was about 12. And so I decided I was going to take him to the Virgin Islands and visit one of my sisters who lives there. And at the time, I didn't have the proverbial pot to you-know-what in, but I did it. And so I look back and I think, how did I do that? A strong intention. We had a great time. And then much later, after I found my spiritual path, I traveled with a group of other spiritual seekers to Egypt. And I intended to raise my consciousness by going through with this group of similar, along similar lines, spiritual seekers. And I'm not sure I did it in the way I intended, but I did expand my awareness. I meditated in the Great Pyramid and sailed down the Nile and visited all the temples and just, among other things, galloped a horse across the sands of Cairo. So you can just call me Laurentia of Arabia. I'm not quite so adventurous these days, but that was a cool memory to have. So another question is, why do our intentions sometimes manifest and other times go awry or just fizzle out? Well, can you think of times when you have had intentions that didn't come to fruition, and have you ever thought about why didn't I? Again, I don't want to simplify the answer because it's not simple, but one possibility is that your intention wasn't strong enough, so you were easily pulled off the track. Or you have subconscious beliefs or emotions that conflict with your intention. And your subconscious mind is extremely powerful. If it thinks that something that you want is threatening or that you're better off staying where you are, it's gonna win. So we have to figure out what are these subconscious damaging beliefs that we build up over our lifetimes. And usually a lot of them start when we're just little and we just don't even realize we've been conditioned. You know, like, I'm not good enough, for example. You know, how many things do we not even try because we're not good enough? And that's just an example. So there are a number of ways to get at these subconscious limiting beliefs. I don't have time to go into them right now, but I do, what I did was search online for erasing subconscious sabotaging beliefs. And I recommend you do that because there's a lot of help out there, a lot of suggestions on how to do that. You could even start by writing out, I could manifest this intention, but, and then fill in the blank with as many things as you can. And sometimes if you write with your non-dominant hand, it brings out your subconscious thoughts. And that is if you can read it after you write it, which is a little challenge for me, but. So once you realize what's stopping you, you can write out an affirmation to contradict it, counteract it, and say that affirmation every day and recondition your mind so that it begins to see that it's possible to manifest your intentions. Or maybe you didn't write an intention that sparked joy or that inspired you enough. So look at what you wrote for your intention and maybe rewrite it to make it sound fabulous, you know, so, oh yeah, I can't wait. So we are powerful creators made in the image of the Creator. So go home and write out an overarching intention for your life and write out intentions, big and small, for all of the areas of your life, and make sure they align with divine purpose for the highest good of all. And then say them every day. Revise them if you feel inspired to do that, because our lives change and you might want a different intention. So you'll find if you do that, that your intentions start manifesting with ease and grace, and you'll have that support of the responsive universe. Let's say our affirmation for the day again. Peggy, you'll pick that up. I use my laser intent to create a life of happiness, health, and abundance. And so it is. Peace.